Hello everyone, Deb Floros for Jesse James Beads. The magical mystery bead box for September is Wizard of Oz. Everybody loves Wizard of Oz. I remember watching it as a kid. I may be dating myself there, but I fell in love with all of the pieces and parts from this box, and I pulled out a bunch of things I was interested in. So I pulled all the metal from several different sources in the box, and then I pulled out the Witch of the West mix. And the colors and tones in this one just really made my heart sing. There's so many fun beads, so many fun shapes. So I thought that I would use those cages, and those actually came from the Emerald City strand. And there was something strung into them when they were on the strand, but when you pull off the strand, those beads will come out. So you can either put them back in or you can use them on your own or on their own. So I grabbed some 24 gauge wire and I decided to do some wire wrapping on this little cage. So I crisscrossed the wire, wrapped it around a few times, and you might need some help from some pliers. I used 3 little wraps and cut off my excess, and then I strung on one of those little kind of square tube beads that are metallic, and they have a wonderful color. So I thought they looked really beautiful with those gold cage beads. And I'm taking that, stringing it on, and then kind of bending it over through one of the triangular openings on the bead. Then I'm taking that 24 gauge wire, I'm pushing it back up through the same triangular section, and I'm going to wrap it around 3 times to secure it. So it's just going to act as a little bit of an embellishment on this section of the bead. So doing 3 little wraps, getting that nice and tight on there. You can actually use chain nose pliers to tighten up those wraps if you need to, and you can push them together if you get them a little bit too far apart. And then that's what it looks like when you've got it wrapped on both ends. It kind of looks a little bit avant-garde, interesting, unique. So I'm going to add 2 more of them, and I'm going to add them on either side. So one of them will wrap into that triangular section, and then 2 will wrap in squares next to it. So you'll just do the same thing. You'll create 3 little wraps at the top of one of the squares, put the bead on, bend it over into the square, and then you'll wire wrap 3 times around the bottom. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. In fact, I kind of like that these look a little bit sideways or a little bit slanted. And I'm just wrapping the wire on. Now, this is a little bit challenging and you'll have to be very careful that you don't kink the wire. I probably wasn't as careful as I should have been. I had to redo a couple of them, but I have my trusty chain nose pliers to help me out. That's what 2 of them look like on the cage bead. Then I'm just going to do 1 more. So I'm going to go over into the next square section and do the same thing. Add that bead by doing some wraps up top of the square, stringing on the bead, and then securing it at the bottom of the square with some more wraps. And just take your time, be patient. These will look super fun when they're on. Now, if I had enough of those beads, I probably would have put them in all of the spaces on that cage bead, which you could certainly do with other beads if you'd like. That would embellish the whole entire bead and make it look super cool. So I thought what I would do then is I would take some of the teardrop beads. And here I'm just showing you one more time how I'm actually putting on that wire, putting some wraps on and pushing over my wire. 24 gauge is pretty forgiving, so you can do a lot with it without tools, but you'll want to use the tools for more of the precision work there. So just showing you how I'm doing more of those wraps. And if you wanted to do more beads, you do have enough to maybe do 5 beads in each of the cage beads. So you could do that. Now I grabbed the teardrop beads and some ball end head pins, and I used gold. And I'm going up a little bit on my round nose pliers and creating a loop and opening up the wire so that I can take that wire and attach it to the cage. And what I want to do is create 3 of these little dangles. Now, I love how these beads have the hole lengthwise so that you can put the whole head pin through and you've got a little bit of an accent at the bottom. I'm wire wrapping, snipping off my excess. You can use your chain nose pliers to adjust those wraps a little bit if you need to. And these beads are so cool because they have purple and green and yellow and all the beautiful shades of metallic there that just go so beautifully with those beads that we've wire wrapped onto the cage. So I've got my 3rd one, I'm wrapping that on, and I'm using my chain nose pliers to help me a little bit. Sometimes when you've got limited space, it's hard to do your wrapping. So that's what I'm liking, and I'm deciding where I should put my ear wire on, where I should actually attach it. And I decided to go just above the one of the wrapped beads, and actually the bead that's furthest to the left if I'm holding it facing me. And it's going to make those beads kind of go a little bit to the side, and it's going to make the drops move a little bit to the side. So these look really interesting and asymmetrical almost. I love how these came out. This is an incredibly fun box to work with. Check out the Magical Mystery Bead Box at jessiejamesbeads.com.